Hello and welcome to another episode of Marty's Matchbox Makeovers. Now, it's been a little while since I put a video out. I've been extremely busy at work and working interstate, which has not helped. But I'm back again for the weekend and I thought I would get together another video and create another little marvellous piece of art to go into my collection. And this is another one that I do not have, or did not have, because I've got it now. It is the No.40 Leyland Tiger Coach from 1961. This was sent to me in package 97 back in 2019. I know this because it has a sticker on the roof that says 97. Now, I checked in my book of packages that I've had delivered over the years, and this came from M. Davis in London. So thank you, M. Davis. I so hope you are watching and that it was worth the wait. And I apologise for taking so long, but I do have a lot of packages and models to get through. So there on the base you can see it says the Royal Tiger Coach. I don't know why it's royal. Very basic model, but quite accurately reproduced, as always, by Matchbox. Got a lovely grille, multiple windows, and some nice side trim details. The base is held on by a tongue at the front and a small rivet at the back. Now, I've got this brand new drill set that Kevin bought me online. There's a drill missing, which is a bit weird. But not only that, he's really excited because at the same time he bought a satellite TV system and he thinks it's coming today. So fingers crossed. So I'm going to drill the rivet out. They're that new I can't get them out because they're sort of forced in at the factory to prevent people from stealing them in the shops, I guess, and secreting them in their pockets. So it takes me a couple of attempts to pick them out before I find one that's the right size. This is a very, very small rivet indeed. And I can drill it out no problem. I don't think I'm going to be able to get a screw in there because it is literally like a millimetre in diameter, maybe 2 millimetres in diameter. Extremely small. So I just touch it with the drill basically, and I'm able to pop the base off with a flat bladed screwdriver like that. Always a great feeling when they snap away with that lovely little crack, the noise, and there's no damage to the small hole at the back there. Next, the transparency is coming out. It's a very simple model, just the upper and lower body pieces and the transparency. There you can see inside it says Royal Tiger Coach No.40, and there's an arrow pointing to the front to aid in the assembly during the factory assembly line, I guess, to speed things up. They put an arrow on there to make it easy to get it in the correct orientation. I'm going to take the axles and wheels out now, and to do that I've got to remove the spread end of the axle, the mushroomed end of the axle, and I'm doing that with this little barrel grinding attachment in my Dremel. Very carefully, just taking away the minimum amount of metal off the end there and keeping it on the tilt so that gravity pulls the tyre or the wheel away from the cutting tool. Well, that worked quite well. That was literally a 5-second job. Brilliant. Things are going to plan. Wheels and axles. And I'm now trying to source some axles, replacement axles, because they're a little bit short. The ones I removed quite short, and I'm a little bit worried that they're that short that I won't be able to reform the end of the axles to put the wheels back on. So I'm looking through my axle box here and trying to find some that are just the right length. If they're too long, I can cut them down, but obviously if they're too short, they're not much cop. This one here looks pretty good. There's not too much, not too little. You're looking for the Goldilocks moment there, not too hot, not too cold. That's not too long, not too short. It seems to look like it would work. So I'm going to go with that one. Now the tyres and wheels on inspection are damaged. I didn't notice it until after I took them off, so I'm now trying to find some relatively good condition ones. That one's not. Here's another one here I'm looking at. Is it the same size? No, it's a little bit too big. So there's lots and lots and lots of different tyres and sizes. I think I've got 2 boxes of these, and it takes me quite a while to fish through them and get 4 that actually match. So I've got them and I've put them on my little cleaning rig here. It's just some small nails with the heads cut off, so I can hold up to 5 wheels whilst I clean them with a toothbrush and they don't drop on the floor. So after I've cleaned them and dried them, I give them a little spruce up with this tyre wash, which is diluted black gloss Tamiya paint, and it makes them look brand new. Well, Kevin's excited. He's just let me know that his package has arrived, so he's going to unbox it now, and we'll catch up with him later. That's a fantastic delivery time. I think he only ordered it about 3 days ago, so quite good. Here's something I don't use very often, but I thought I'd show you it once again. I have showed it in a couple of videos. It's a tiny little freestanding motor I bought on eBay with a chuck, and it's powered from an old laptop power supply, 12 volt power supply, and it does a great job of cleaning up the axles, especially when you use those little thin strips of emery paper. To take this transparency out, because obviously I can't paint it with it in there, it's too complicated to mask, so I've got to take it out. So to take it out, I'm using this very shallow drill so I don't drill through the roof. The roof is very thin metal. It's very easy to drill through the roof if you go a little bit too hard with the drill. This modified drill that I've made just cuts a little bit shallower than normal and lessens the risk of ruining them on. The key is to start it off slowly, because if you try to go full bore straight off the bat, it will kind of walk its way out of the hole and you end up with an oval hole or a cracked transparency. So you always have to sort of slowly start the drill with these shallow cut drills, otherwise they can crack the transparency. That got away with that one though. That's worked out really well. Now, they don't always come out, and this is one way I found to get them out. It works 9 times out of 10. Once you've drilled the rivet out, it's still stuck in there. Drop it down on the table from about 6 inches up, and it falls out. It looks cool too in slow motion. Now, the light blue colour on this model is going to be difficult, quite challenging I think to replicate. It is so light blue that it's almost silver grey, but it's definitely got a blue tint, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. Now, I bought loads of these little pots for mixing paint in, and they're not actually fit for purpose because the weight of the lid pulls the pot over, which is a little bit annoying. So what I've taken to doing is tearing the lid off and keeping it to one side until I've mixed the paint, and then I pair them back up again. That way I don't miss when I'm tipping the paint out. I've got some silver and relatively dark blue, and I am a little bit anxious. Now here's a little tip somebody told me. I had trouble getting the lids off some of the pots. You have to clean the thread on the lid before you put the lid back on. So I just did that with a little cotton bud. Now I am adding the darker paint to the lighter paint. If I'd done that round the other way, it would not have worked as well. So it's very easy to control the colour if you go dark to light, add dark to light rather than light to dark. And I'm mindful that I'm just one drop away from failing. I keep going a drop at a time. That is 6 drops, I think. I lost count. And having a look there. Not too bad, really, considering I didn't think it was possible. So there you go. I've got my paint mixed. I'll snap that lid back on and set it aside for when it's ready to paint, which won't be too far off. So I'm going to apply some paint stripper to the model. First of all, I've tipped some into this disposable container, and that's a little bit annoying dropping those tongs in there, because now if I pick them up I'm going to get some paint stripper on my fingers, so I have to clean them off before I handle them. Now this paint stripper is amazing. It's my go-to paint stripper of choice, and I'm not too sure it's available in all countries, but it works really well here in Australia. So after it has done its job of loosened the paint, I just go over to my laundry sink and rinse off all that old paint. 99% comes off first time round. There's a little piece there. Look at that. I could keep that as a sample. Anyway, I'm just going to go and check up on Kevin and see how he's doing. He's working in the roof, installing our new satellite TV. Kevin, you up there? Oh, what are you doing? You installing that satellite dish, are you? Okay, you be careful. Bye. Now, inspecting these parts that I have paint stripped, after I've washed and dried them, I see there are some small pieces of paint still clinging on the inside. So I just brush those off and they come off very easily just with that toothpick like item that I'm using. I don't even know where I got those from or what they're called, but they're quite handy to have, those little wooden paddles. So before I paint these models, I usually do this. I give them a very light coat of Tamiya light grey undercoat, and the problem I have here is that the stamped model description on the base is so finely stamped, maybe even worn away, but it looks like it maybe at the factory it wasn't stamped quite deep enough or forged deep enough. I'm not too sure what procedure they use, and it's obscured now by the very light coat of the undercoat. Not so the details on the bus. They are still very crisp, and I do like looking at the models after I've undercoated them, because they kind of highlights all those tiny little details that you can only see with young eyes as a child, and as you're an adult you pick these up and you don't see all these little things like the boot catch there, and some tiny little sort of indicator lights on the side of the front doors. Just little things like that that you would miss otherwise. Now these two paints have kind of settled, so I've had to stir them together again. I hope this is going to work. I've got my trusty spray gun, and this is the first time I've used it in about 3 weeks. And once again, I do apologise for keeping you waiting. Now that blue looks absolutely beautiful, doesn't it? Look at it, it's such a subtle colour. It's like ghost blue, I don't know what they call it, but it's a great thing. I wonder if this is the actual colour of the real buses. I've seen a couple of photographs, but they're all in black and white, so I'm unable to find one in this colour, other than the model, of course. But it's a great colour. I'm just checking in this Matchbox encyclopedia to see if there's a picture of it, so I can tell if the front grille should be blue or silver. Now here it is here, and if you look, it's actually painted silver on the front, so that's what I'm going to do with this one. And just matching this colour with this transparency with the one in the book. The one in the book looks like it's blue, and the one I'm holding is green, so I don't know if that's a variant or whether it's as a result of the photographic process to print the book. Maybe it turned out blue, but it was indeed green in the photo. This is in very good condition and needs very little work, but I'm going to give it a bit of a polish. There's a small imperfection on the front, right in dead centre, like a big fly's hit the window, or more like a rock. But it's actually kind of inside the plastic, so I'm not going to be able to remove it, but I'm going to give it a polish anyway with this Polywatch and a small cotton bud, and it's very easy to do, very quick results with this stuff. It's a great product, and it's I've only had it for the last couple of models I've done. Instant sort of shine to these plastic parts, but once again that dent in the middle, I'm afraid I'm going to have to live with that. Okay, so I've painted the wheels and I'm putting them back on, having a look, see what they look like. Obviously I'm trying to make this thing look new. Can never get them quite perfect, but I'll try as close as I can. I think these are going to work well. So into my shed I'm using these hollow punches, hollow point punches, to reform the end of the axles in a drill press. Some of you may have seen this before, some of you may be watching this for the first time, and I imagine it's something similar to what Matchbox would have done in the factory. Just have to line the two up exactly right. So the chance of the axle bending under pressure is minimized, because if they're not in line, I've had axles get creased in the middle and they're very difficult to get out. You have to cut them off and find another one. There's a close-up of the mushroomed end that's been reformed, and it's as good as new. Not too sure I like the finish on the bottom. I have done better, and I'm kicking myself now that maybe I should have just sanded it, but if I had done, I may have removed the words, so it's a bit of a catch-22 thing. Not too many people are looking at the base. This transparency looks brand new. It looks brilliant. I love it. And of course, this came up not perfect, but almost as good as it was when it came out of the factory. Once again, in this light, it looks like it's silver, but it is in fact very pale blue. I've got a little pot here of clear silicone, roof sealant. I'm keeping it in the little pot as an experiment to see how long it will stay usable in a pot rather than getting out a big tube of it every time. I thought I'd just experiment and see if it would stay fresh in the pot if I keep the lid on. I'll give you an update on the next video. So I just put a tiny little dab in there. A little dab will do, as they say. And as I push down, I'm pleasantly surprised that that looks really nice. Sometimes it squeeges out all unevenly, but that one looks really good, almost like it's meant to be. So that will stay in there. And this will go back on the shelf until next time. And we shall see if it's gone solid or not. Now I can put the base on, and I'm turning this up the right way, and I was a little bit worried the transparency might have fallen down, but it's not going to, because I've noticed these little metal protrusions that Matchbox have cast into the inside of the body, and they're there to hold the windscreen up, which is a great idea. Here's that tiny little rivet post on the back. I can't possibly drill and tap it, so I'm going to resort to an old favourite of mine, a little bit of araldite. I know I don't like using glue as the norm, but sometimes you've got to do what you've got to do. And this is really the only way I can see of fixing this back together. And it is a display piece. It won't be played with. So it will sit in the shelf along with my other models that I've done, and should look quite presentable. And only under the closest scrutiny by an expert will people know the base has been glued on. Very important to use the smallest amount possible that will do the job, because anything more than less will squeegee out when you push it together, and it can get messy. I'm being very careful not to press with my thumb on the actual rivet in case some araldite comes out and gets on my thumb, and then it will end up all over the model, which has happened before and basically means you've got to press the reset and start from scratch again. So one last thing to do is there's two last things to do. Paint the grill and the axle ends with some liquid chrome, and then I'm going to paint the rear tail lights with a little bit of red paint as per the original model. I actually put a little bit too much of this chrome ink in there, and it started to obscure the radiator, so I had to clean my brush and then use it to pick the paint up, the ink or the chrome paint, pick it up before it set, just so that the detail wasn't lost in the radiator. I just need some red paint for the tail lights. Very easy this, because the tail lights are quite prominent. They're sticking out from the back of the bus. And only took a minute. Here's a reminder of what it looked like before I started this morning. Sad little thing, somebody had to go out painting it white, maybe to replicate a bus that they'd seen in real life. And here is my finished restored model. Once again, not perfect. But then again, none of them were. And this looks as good as it did when it came out of the factory, to my eye anyway. I hope you agree. And if you do, please remember to like, subscribe, and recommend to your friends. So I think Kevin's finished with his installation of his SAT hack system. So we should have 10,000 channels to watch tonight. But before I start looking around, I thought I would just go and watch my favourite show, Tipping Point. Oh, this is going to be good. On. Ooh. Channels. What's that rubbish? Where's Tipping Point? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Kevin! Alright?
You are the worst actor I've ever come across. You'd never win an award.
Once again, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please like and subscribe. And recommend to your friends. Till next time, this is Marty saying goodbye.